In this video, I will show you my web design process and how I stay organized throughout the entire project. I am a multidisciplinary designer who loves to design not only websites, but entire brand ecosystems. So after talking with the client and going through the branding request and reading the brief, I start by designing some concepts and then some iterations. And when everything is approved, we have another meeting and then I start designing the style guide. And the style guide is something very important because it's the reference point where developers, other designers, when you're working with a bigger team, and all the stakeholders go when they need to see how every element of the brand experience should be represented. And here we can see the logo don'ts, and the logo don'ts are very important. I just laugh because sometimes people will just go and destroy your logo. Like you will create a beautiful logo and they will destroy it. So that's why it's very important to show them what they shouldn't do as well. Here we can see the different brand colors and we can see the typography. The typography is essential and I like to spend time making sure that I choose the correct type because having the correct type can make or the lack of it can break a website. So I have to make sure that I spend time doing the correct research and choosing the right one. The color contrast is also something very important because the website is going to be visited by different groups of people and I have to make sure that is accessible for all of them. So choosing the right contrast is something also that I take into consideration every time that I design something. The illustration style is also another of the things that I spend time on because we have to make sure that is consistent throughout the entire design ecosystem. And here is a representation of how the brand will look in the real world. And this is something that clients love to see. So every time I design a style guide, I make sure to add some of these. And that's pretty much it. The style guide is something that will evolve with time, so is a forever work in progress. After finishing the style guide, I proceed by creating the persona profiles. And the persona profiles are very important because is what is going to help me better understand who am I designing for. Because in reality, at the end of the day, I'm not designing for the clients. I am designing for the clients, right? And the best way to be aware and to understand in detail who those groups of people are is by designing persona profiles. I like to create different groups of demographics, and in this case specifically, we have two different groups. One is for older people, and the other one is for younger people. And I do this because when I'm designing, I want to make sure that the website is appealing and is useful for both these demographics. And this is very important, especially when working on a e-commerce website like in this case. The next step of the process is designing the wireframes. And the wireframes are very useful in terms of knowing how to structure the different elements, the different components in the website. And also is a very good way to open a line of communication with the client so I can understand and know what are their preferences in terms of structure. And the wireframes are not obviously not final design or anything. It's just a way for me to understand where the different elements should be. And it's not polished, obviously, and it's just like unfinished work. But for me, it's very helpful to go to as a point of reference when I'm doing the hi-fi design, which is the one that I enjoy doing the most. Once I finish with the wireframes, I go ahead and build the components. And the components are very important because when I'm building a website that has multiple pages and different sections as well, I like to create a component that will help me edit the changes throughout the entire site. Instead of going here, for example, to the hi-fi design and going one by one and changing the color, for example, if I want to change the color of this navigation menu, instead of going one by one, like here, one by one, I would just go to the components and say, okay, so I want this in color light green, for example. And then I go back to the design and boom, it changes throughout the entire design. And this is a good way to stay efficient. This is one of my favorite parts of the entire design, and it's the hi-fi design, right? And here I like to keep everything very organized because it makes communication with the developers way easier. And also I believe it's best practice because sometimes you log into a Figma file that is a complete mess, and I don't like that. I like to keep everything clean. I also like to create a preview of how the website will behave in different screen sizes and different devices. And I do that in a separate page. And as you can see here, we can see how the content nicely adapts to the browser size. After doing the launch of the website, I like to do a lot of A/B testing and see which things should be changed. For example, here maybe we will change the hero image, the color of the text, the color of the button, depending on how the customers behave. And that's very important because websites shouldn't be like a set and forget, right? You have to really work on it over time to better optimize the entire experience. Here we can see more pages, and here we can appreciate the importance of having a good font because here there is no images, right? It's everything structure and text. I'm going to zoom in so you can see the design. And I'm not going to go through every page because I don't want to make this video too long, but I will show you some of the pages and so you can see the structure. Here are some nice illustrations. I chose the glacier blue background because first of all, it's one of the brand colors, and also I want to make it different because most of the sites that you visit online are, have a white background. So I wanted to do something different, and it's very unique to this brand. So now let's talk about landing pages. Landing pages are a very essential part of the entire e-commerce ecosystem. And just to give a real world example, I like to treat landing pages as pop-up shops, and then the main website would be the flagship store. And the difference between the two is that the main website, we are not going to make a lot of changes there. We are going to obviously update it over time and then make some A/B testing as well. But most of the A/B testing, most of the design iterations, and then experiments will be done in the landing page. And I like to design landing pages that are very simple. I don't like to overcomplicate things. And this same design structure made over $2 million for this brand. So I understand how customer acquisition works. I know about advertising. I know about about conversion rate optimization. And that's something that I always keep in mind when designing a landing page. That gives me an edge over other designers. So let's talk a little bit about emails. This is going to be quick because the emails, as you can see here, are very simple. And I design it this way because I understand about email marketing, I understand about deliverability, and we want to make sure that the emails get delivered in the inbox and not the spam folder. That's why the structure should be very simple, not too many images, and just one CTA, which is the call to action button. And for e-commerce, especially for e-commerce, email marketing is very important. That's why we have to spend time and understand that simplicity is key here. So this is the ADA checklist, and the ADA checklist is basically a tool that helps me stay compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And this is something that a lot of designers don't do, but I like to do it because I know how difficult it is to design for different groups of people at the same time. So this checklist helps me stay organized and also helps me better communicate with the developers because most of these things are going to be implemented during development. Big brands, especially in the US and in Europe, ask designers if they have a clear understanding of these different regulations and privacy and all that stuff that is very important for them because obviously not complying um, results in big fines and a lot of problems. And I believe that it's our responsibility as designers to understand how these things work and to do research and stay organized. And that's what I always do. So that's it for today. I will record more videos talking about my design process more in depth and also where I find inspiration and all that stuff. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.